What's up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. It's a big week for Run Pure members across both NBA and NFL. Let's get into the winners. In the NBA streets, Hole 800 turned $12 into 4K. C. Corms turned $76 into 4K as well. Leroy hit for $4,600, while Y Guy 223 shipped for $12,000. Our guy AP joined in the fun, hitting for $8,000. Turning to NFL, it was another great week for us, especially when it came to Showdown. I parlayed my appearance on our premium Thursday night Print Factory show into 61K, featuring a lineup with Dallas Goedert in the captain spot. RPS coordinators were all over the Goedert captain play, appearing not only in my premium attack plan, but Mangone pushed it as well, helping Nadesify ship for over 67K, while Pete Vegas hit for $7,200 over on FanDuel. But the biggest hit came on Monday Night Showdown, where RPS content was all over Kenyon Drake in the captain spot. Captain Drake was pushed on our free Showdown show by special guest Chris Randone, in addition to our Talking Touchdown show with Spread, Tyler, and Title, where Tyler called his shot, nailing the Drake call ahead of shipping $29,000 for himself.
75% of carries, like he's going to be unowned, like low owned because of his price. He's got to be even more low owned as a captain because his price jumps even more. If he scores 2 touchdowns in this one, you could be golden.
Guys, if you have not subscribed to our free YouTube channel, take a second right now and get it done. Racer1A joined in with a 10K hit from Showdown. Kanoski69 hit for 22K as well. Locks rode Drake Captain to a 30K score to continue his heater, while I shipped 2 more King of the Beach seats. But the biggest win was by Run Pure member Homebrew, who hit the perfect unique lineup, solo shipping for a monster $500,000. He joined our NFL First Look show to talk about his big night.
Randone just mentioned at the end of the show, the very end, it was the last lineup I made. It was the end of the show, and he said, Kenyon Drake, captain. And I was like, well, I don't have one of those. Let me make one of those.
Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button right now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
Hey, it's Picking Winners. What is up? It's Holden, it's Mangone, it's Spread, and we're here to talk about 6 games this week. Spread will talk from a betting side. Mangone will talk from a DFS side, and I'll sit here looking like an idiot. Jags Chiefs will be our first game. We'll go Browns Dolphins, Lions Bears, Cowboys Packers, Vikings Bills, and it's not looking like Josh Allen's going to play, but I think there's a really good conversation to be had there. And then Thursday Night Football, Atlanta and Carolina. I just hit up a guy that is a meteorologist in Charlotte, and he said rain, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds with 30 mile an hour gusts. So it should be a really exciting Thursday night game this week. Mangone and I, Spread, you came in the studio a little late. By the way, look at that background, Mangone.
I mean, you loved it so much last night, I had to bring it back.
Look at this green. Yeah. He actually picked the color, the green wall. He's got like a Stairmaster from 1948. I mean, Spread is looking good.
Yeah.
I like it, Spread. Anyways, Mangone and I, before you came in, Spread, we're having a conversation, okay? He knows a person that's 400 pounds. I know a person that's 200 pounds. And what he was telling me was there's a chasm.
You only know one person that's 200 pounds.
Yeah. I only know 6 people, dude.
I can't believe that.
I only know 6. I really don't know anyone that's 200 pounds, Mangone. Who's 200? Oh, Tony. Big T's 200 pounds. Who else?
He's over 200. Yes.
Right. He's over 200 pounds. Who else that we work with is over 200 pounds? Nobody.
I don't want to.
I was over
maybe
200
JJ,
for most of the year. I was over,
maybe JJ when he goes on a bender, but that's about it.
I think JJ is either just slightly over or slightly under. I know he's been working. I know him and his wife had a little wager on it, and he won the wager.
And then Simon says he was over 200 a year ago. So that's interesting. But
I was over 200 like 3 months ago. Holden.
What?
Yeah, I'm in the 190s now, and then since I've been back,
I mean, there's definitely a bunch more, but like there's a couple like I know Phallic and Crane. I bet they are, but they've been on the losing weight.
Yeah,
they've been losing weight grind. Like I've seen them lose weight live on the camera, man. They look great.
Is Crane 3 bills?
I don't know what, because Crane's lost a lot. Crane is really, since I met him at the Roto Grinder days, he's lost a ton. He's been working.
Like, was he siege sized?
No.
He wasn't ever that big. Okay, Crane is short.
Really short
oh boy, short and big. That's no way to live. But you were just saying there's a big difference between 200 and 400. But I'm going to say there's a bigger difference between 140 pounds and 200 pounds.
So yeah, Spread. This was our big debate. We were talking about what's the difference between like they basically said like if there's a 140-pound woman, right? Like they were like, if the woman's 200 pounds, you have to pay me X amount. And I was like, 200 is not as big as you realize. Like, I feel like you have to jump into like 300 or 400. Like, you have to move this way up for this to be like actually an interesting conversation.
Spread, for some background, 5'4", 200 compared to 5'4", 140 on a woman. It's cataclysmic. It's not even close.
5'4", but if it's like 5'9" or 5'11",
that's what I'm saying. 5'9", 160 is acceptable. Maybe 170 on a crazy week.
But Spread, typically when you're having a conversation, you would only have to pay me X amount of dollars to do this, right? Like using the number of 200, I think is wrong. I think you need to use the number of 300 or 400. I mean, again, do what you want. I don't care. But like my point is I think setting the line at 200 as the number is a little egregious on Holden's part. If you're going to go like you got to go way higher, I think, at that point.
No, because I told you I would hit a 200-pounder for if she paid my rent, which is around $2,200 a month. Like, I'd do that. 400 pounds, she'd have to pay for the whole year Spread. She'd have to pay the whole year of rent.
But you're making my point that the gap from 200 to 400 is massive.
Yeah, but if she's 140 pounds, she gets no rent. Like, it's free. So we go from $0 to $2,000 to $25,000. That's just me. That's just what I'm saying, though.
Well, I want to hear from the chat who they think is right. They might not even understand what's going on, but if you think it's Holden, you think it's Mangone, just say it. I'm kind of curious, but yeah. Holden was very intrigued by this conversation, so that's why we had that.
I see how you have so much money, Holden.
It's I paid rent late.
Together. It's all starting to come together. How you just have money left and right.
I paid rent late, and I thought I was going to have to do the nasty with this girl. She did it for free. She got me out of I just completely forgot to pay it. But I said to myself, what would it take, to do that, to do this with her? And it was $2,100. And I have not told my girlfriend about this conversation yet. And I did bring it up, Stevie Boyton, but I feel like I need to tell her now that this is the way it is. Like, if that lady offers me, I will do it. I will take a month of free rent and I will take one for the team.
Well, let us know how that conversation goes, Holden, because you're pretty proud of having that girlfriend. But
we'll be back next week.
Conversation.
See, in the chat even knows. Nice, Kevin. Holden's on to something, to be honest. Yeah, huge difference between 140 to 200.
You have been spending a little more money on your hair lately.
The 200 to 400 is even larger, in my opinion. It's like a humongous. Like, I think that point I was getting at was like, I think like the number of 200 for the money thing, like see, your reaction said it all. You said once it was 400, you asked for an entire year's rent, which means my reasoning is it's way, way bigger.
No, because it goes from $0 to $2,100. Okay, that is a bigger jump than the whole year.
And then it goes $2,100 to times
60 pounds. 60 pounds is 1 month's rent. 200 pounds year rent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's more.
You know what? Mango just caught me. Mango totally just busted me. Mango wins the argument. We usually at RPS, we will not admit when we're wrong. I'm totally wrong.
No, you're the only one that does that. The rest of us take our L's all the time, Holden. You're the only one who doubles down.
Oh, no, you have not watched Up to Lock. Tony, JSU have never been wrong, ever.
What do you mean?
This is BS. They take their L's.
No, we will play.
Go ask Tony about his Joe Mixon call.
JT Hayes has never been wrong.
JT Hayes, you might be right about. JT Hayes has never been wrong, though, for being honest.
So. I know, yeah. I mean, the guy's pretty sharp.
And he knows it's not flat, and he won't admit it.
Yeah, and also Uncle T's never wrong too, Holden. Remember that as well.
Oh, God, don't even start. Don't even start with him. All right, let's get into this, guys. Thank you for sticking through this so that we could get into these games. We're gonna
timestamp. We're gonna get timestamp on this one now too, Tyler.
Probably should, because we do the old guy pod, and usually there is a guy that listens to the pod. He goes, "Okay, they start talking football at this mark, like 35 minutes in." We rarely talk football in the first half hour of that show. Anyways, with that being said, Jags Chiefs. Mecole Hardman is not practicing. He's got an abdominal injury. I think that's just something that at least we got to keep an eye on here. But the spread is this spread. Chiefs minus 9.5 at home. 50.5 is the total. Woo! Can you start with the total here? Can the Jags keep up with the Chiefs offense this week and at least put up maybe 21 points? Because that total is awful high.
Yeah, let me go ahead. So Tyler and I did the projections this morning, and he and I actually disagreed on this game. We had this game going under. We have it coming into about 48 points. So not a huge edge there, right? But my numbers really like Kansas City here. Tyler disagreed. And so it really comes down to, Kansas City hasn't always done good against the spread, but and he talked about it a little last night, right? After playing that Tennessee Titans defense, which I think is so strong, so well coached, and what they do better than anyone in the league is just simply tackle. This team doesn't miss tackles. Now you go against the Jacksonville team that beat the Raiders. Great job, right? Great job. You beat the Raiders, okay? I'm not buying in just because you beat the Raiders at home. Now you have to go to Kansas City. They played a tough game last week. They know they shouldn't have gone to overtime against that team. Also, I think there will be more of an effort to put Kadarius Toney in the lineup here. I don't see them having an answer for Kelsey. So my projections say to lay it with the Chiefs, even though it's a big spread. I'm going to lay it with the Chiefs. Like I said, slight lean to the under, but I don't love that one as much as I do just taking the side. I think we see a huge game here from Kansas City as they get right, hopefully get a lead. And then let's see, will they ever try and run the ball? They've completely abandoned this run game. So maybe an opportunity to get some running backs more involved if they can build a big lead.
Yeah, that's a great transition to Mangone here, because I think Pacheco, we've been waiting for the breakout. And I wonder if maybe this is the week that Pacheco finally gets the carries. The game script last week was really weird. Like they threw it 68 times, Mangone. They're not throwing 68 times against the Jaguars. And then on the other side, we got ATN, who's just nonstop. But the question with ATN is, does he get passing game work if this turns into a blowout? So can you start with the running backs here, Mangone?
Yeah, I think the Pacheco thing's like, it's really hard to pull the trigger on it. Like it's so difficult. Like you don't know what's going to happen. The problem is, and just to give you, I always like do this at the start of the show, is like give you a little bit of slight context. Like it's not identical to last week, but it's got the similarities of the running back position where like, I just think you have to get above 6K. And like, I don't think 6K is as strong as it was in the past weeks, where you might even have to go even higher this week. It's like going to get difficult. You're going to have to spend at your running back position, it seems like. And we can start there with Travis Etienne. I mean, 7.1K. I mean, Holden, I saw you tweeting about it a little bit. Like, dude was basically in a timeshare to start the year, and he's still basically up there. Like 7-1, we might be playing, not playing, but we might be paying 8K for Travis Etienne on the regular by the end of the year, right? It might be like week 12 through like 18 or however many weeks there are. He might be 8K and above. And like the Jaguars are trying to push for playoffs, and we're considering playing him almost every single week, even at that price. So I do think Etienne is in play again this week, someone that I am looking at. Chiefs running backs.
Travis, let me interrupt real quick. Do you agree with my game script? Because would you be worried there if it is the Chiefs blowout on some Etienne?
Not as much, because he's just involved in the pass game a lot, right? Like okay. I get PPR points. That's the thing to like about running backs that are not in timeshares, because they're game flow independent, right? It doesn't matter if it's a game flow dependent back, like a Devin Singletary, where like the game has to be close. There are ways it can't work out. But the thing with Travis Etienne that's nice is if they're losing, he's going to get the PPR points, which is great. If they're winning, he's going to get the all the work. They're going to be running a lot more. So, and they're going to be scoring touchdowns. So either way, you're getting points. So like, I think the Travis Etienne thing is fine. Let's talk about these.
Travis.
Yeah.
ATN.
Travis Etienne.
Isn't that the fake really? News network on Succession?
I don't know. I've never seen Succession.
Right. Never mind.
So.
Well,
you should just see his face. It looked like he bit into a lemon right there, Mangone.
No, I missed this.
All right. So, anyways, ATN.
ATN. I'm terrible with some of those. So
it's fine.
Travis ATN. Christian Kirk is only 5'9", which is a pretty nice price tag. And if this is a trailing script, Zay Jones at 4.4, and I get Holden, you're going to be like, we got to stop making the Zay Jones thing happen.
Zay Jones.
Yeah, but like, it's not bad. Like, the problem is, Holden, it's rough there in the like 4K range for receivers, where I do think it normally makes the case just like punt all the way down to like a cheaper 3K option, because it can maybe get you upgrades in other spots. Marvin Jones at 4.3 could easily bust out for 2 touchdowns, and like, I wouldn't bat an eye at all. Look at his game logs. I mean, overall, besides like, there's obviously the Indy game, which he had no targets. I don't think he played in that one. And then the Denver game, he had 3 targets. It was in London, right? Weird stuff. I give it a little bit of a pass, but he's been solid overall, and he could bust out for a 20-point fantasy game like he did against Houston. Would not surprise me at all. So I think Marvin Jones is in the conversation in tournaments. Also, tight end looks similar to last week. Evan Ingram will probably be in the conversation at 3.3 once again. Curious to see what his ownership will be. If he's chalkier, I don't love him. If he's not as chalky, I think he's even better play. The Chiefs receivers is really tough, though. Do you want to pay $6K for Juju? I think Scantling at 4.1 could be intriguing. So could Hardman at 4.5. Sky Moore got a little bit more work, and he's 3K. I'm curious to see what happens with that. He did only get 1 target. I saw the snaps were up, but point I'm getting at with this Chiefs team is I don't know who's getting the ball. It's like really tough. So if you do play Mahomes, you want to play him with Kelsey, but the problem is, are you going to pay up at tight end? Because once you do Mahomes and once you put in Kelsey, you put in the running backs you really want, you're not going to have any money for your receivers. It's going to be a disaster. So I kind of think on at least DraftKings, this Chiefs stack is like, it's almost unplayable, as crazy as that sounds. And I do think on FanDuel, it's very much in play over there, and probably the best way to get exposure to it. But I think when you run the numbers, this will not be an ideal situation on DraftKings for a Chiefs stack. Like I said, go in, lock Pat Mahomes, lock Travis Kelsey, and then maybe either lock in an Etienne or you lock in one of these cheap receivers and Zay Jones and Marvin Jones to make it work. I think it's going to make a lot of things very difficult for your lineup. So I just don't know if the Chiefs stack is going to be something you can do on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I think it makes sense to get your exposure over there.
Okay, very good. That would be game number 1. Let me remind everybody, like button would be terrific. That means you are happy with us. If you hate us, hit the like button. That's great too. Bottom right-hand corner, there is a subscribe button. It's red, and there's a sideways triangle. So let's get into our second game. That would be the Browns at the Dolphins. It's an interesting one. Spread, you and I had a really good conversation on the Old Guys pod, which we taped last night, about this Dolphins offense. 3 and a hook. They are favored at home. Browns 163 on the money line, if you're interested there. 48.5 is the total. My question for you here is, if the Browns sit there and run the football a million times with Nick Chubb, can we get over that 48.5?
That's funny. I have this one projected right around 49. So once again, not a strong take on the total, but this was one of my biggest edges on the side of this whole week, Holden. And Travis, I got to join you here. Miami Dolphins. I got to join the club here, particularly this week. Now, to be fair, my numbers don't like Cleveland very much at all. And I know that, Uncle T made some great points about a Cleveland bounce back last night. And the Jets just beat the Bills, right? That's not the most insane thing in the world, right? For the Browns to have a good game or an AFC East team to lay a dud. But you look at the way that this Miami Dolphins team is moving the ball, right? And we talked about Tua and the offense, but with Hill and Waddle, I mean, these are college level throws. They're 5 yards open on almost every single play. And I don't see the Browns being able to stop them. Okay, Denzel Ward's back. Okay, is Denzel Ward going to keep up with Tyreek Hill? Right? I mean, even the best corners in the league can't keep up with these guys. So they almost seem like, they're player proof. Even going against the very best corners, the teams are going to have problems stopping this Miami Dolphins offense. So once again, I'm going to join Travis here. I'm not going to really be able to fade. If they continue to win like this, I'm not going to be able to fade this team for the playoffs, which kind of sucks for the content, because I do like arguing with Travis, right?
I told you this on this show 3 weeks ago. Look at their schedule. It's going to start getting easier, game after game. And you're going to realize the Dolphins are for real. Josh Allen is hurt.
But are they for real if they beat the Cleveland Browns?
they're
like,
for real.
are we upgrading them? Let's say
feel-
I'm right. Let's say they win this game by 10 points. When I'm going, like, if you joined us in the power rankings that Tyler and I do on the stream, are you gonna sit there and say we need to upgrade them off that win?
Where do you have this team in the power rankings? Now I'm very intrigued. Now this is a conversation. Where are they in the power rankings?
Let's pull up the power rankings right now.
I am so intrigued.
We have them 8th. They're 3.7 points better than an average team. Dallas is 7th at 3.8. Baltimore's 4.3, and then we have San Francisco at 4.6. I'm sorry, we have them 7th. Excuse me, we have them 7th. So they're right below Dallas, right ahead of Cincinnati. What do you think of that?
I'll allow it, but they should be higher. All right,
we'll send you the link next week. You can jump in when because I make the numbers, but Tyler goes over them.
When do you do the show? Is it a show or is it just a?
No, it's not a show. We
okay.
just jump on a stream and I plug the numbers in and then he says, hey, you have Pittsburgh too high. Every week he says I have Pittsburgh too high. Right, and then we come to a consensus. So
yeah, I mean,
we'll throw you in there. And then so if you guys are checking on Run Pure Sports and you see the Miami Dolphins number 3 next week, you'll know that Travis joined us in the meeting.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So I just pulled up their schedule real quick, right? The Dolphins. Tua, when he's the quarterback against New England, that's a W, right? Against Baltimore, they're pretty good at football, right? A W. Against the Bills, a W, right? With Tua in there. Then they play Cincinnati. They lose. Bridgewater's in there, right? Thompson's in there against New York. They play Minnesota. Bridgewater's in there. Things change. Tua, win against Pittsburgh, win against Detroit, I mean, it's just like, yeah, you acted like the Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson thing didn't matter, but it did. This team is for real. I got him at 28-1 spread to win the Super Bowl. I got him now at 21-1, and that thing's going to keep going, and I'm going to hedge when we get to the end, or maybe I'll just ride it out and try to see what I can do. But this team is good. Like, I think the Browns, I don't think they're like a clown team, but they're definitely not like, okay, like they're showing up to play like Detroit or Chicago like last week. And to give a little credit, Chicago's looked a little better. Justin Fields has been a little more impressive. I don't know if you saw the stat lurking out there though, spread, but if you look at Justin Fields and Josh Allen's like first whatever amount of games they've played, they're crazy similar. We'll see if Justin Fields can like keep this momentum going, but he's going to be great for fantasy, obviously. But I do think this Dolphins team is one that we want to keep looking at every single week for fantasy. And the one thing that's really nice about them, and like one reason why you could have made the case to stack them last week, was because if Tua throws for like 350 yards, right, and has a big game, we know where all the production is going. That's one of my favorite things in DFS. It's just a clear if-then statement. It's like, if Dallas Mavericks put up 130 points tonight spread, who's doing it?
Right. Yeah.
It's Luka.
And we talked about that earlier. I can't believe that Tua is less than Kyler on this slate.
Yeah, and I mean, Tua is definitely going to be an option that we need to consider. I don't hate him. I also think the Browns have the ability to move the ball enough to keep the pressure on. If you told me the Bears were going to end up putting up 30 plus points, I would be all in on the Tua stack last week, right? I mean, like, this is a great stack. I want to be in on it. There was some concerns that Chicago can't keep up. And then maybe you kind of get there with the garbage time Justin Fields just running around, right? But overall, I think this could be a really good DFS game. I think this team is able to keep up. I think Amari Cooper is a great option at that range in the 6K spot.
You're going to love the old guys pod then.
Why? Do you guys talk about Amari Cooper?
Uncle T really liked him. JT Hayes busted out the home road splits on us. It was a source of contention, wasn't it, Holden?
It's quite contentious. By the way, I don't really care about what you guys are talking about right now. I did listen to Travis Etienne say his last name is ETN, not ATN. ETN.
Yeah, I thought I said it right.
No.
Etienne, whatever. I mean, anyways, we may as well go back to the 400-pounders while we're at it at this point.
Okay, listen.
We're giving out winners. Travis, breaking down the slate and Holden's
just
not
real
even
quick.
listening.
Mangone, a Tua, Tyreek, Waddle with like a DPJ run back or something like that. Do you think you can make that work? Like legitimately fit guys in, because Hill's expensive.
Well, here's the problem with it. And this is kind of what I was getting at like early on with this slate. So let's plug in Tua, we'll plug in Waddle, we'll plug in Hill.
Yeah,
Because like
I did that.
this is just slate context for you. So now I'm left with $4,433 for my last spots, right? So that gives me 2 running backs, a receiver, a tight end, and a flex. Well, we've been punting defense, so we'll put in a 2-point. Let's put in the
Vikings. Put in the Vikings at 2-2.
I mean, that's being very generous. Let's go the other way. Let's go.
Why? What if Josh Allen isn't in there? We're going to talk
fair.
about this.
We'll put it in there.
Right.
Keep in mind, it's being very generous to do 2-2 because like if you don't end up doing that, you need to find salaries in other spots.
Okay.
So tight end, we won't be as generous. We'll plug in Evan Ingram, right? He's a good play. 3-3. But that's still a cheap option. Okay. I'm left with 5-2-7-5 for 2 of my running backs.
No.
It's just like the problem with the pricing algorithm on DraftKings, and I'll shout this out like all week long. You have to prioritize paying for your 6K and above running backs. I don't think any of these running backs below 6K are likely going to be on the winning lineup. Now, to be a little bit fair, today is Wednesday. Things can change. So if someone gets ruled out, they'll be like, oh, Mango, you're an idiot. Yes, of course. This is the information I have right now. Yes, Jamal Williams at 5'9". That's one of the exceptions I think you could make, but he's basically 6K. Maybe you can make a case that Melvin Gordon at 5'7" could, but how are you really dying to get to Melvin Gordon? Like really? I mean, maybe Wilson Jr. in this game could, but the problem with Wilson Jr. is he's kind of in a timeshare with Moser, and I don't know what's going to happen there with that situation. So overall, it's just really tough. Also, Deion Jackson, that's the one guy below 6K that like I think could get steamed up a bit throughout the week, but is this just his backfield? I'm not exactly sure. I mean, we got Jeff Saturday back there calling the plays too. I'm a little nervous about that. It's just, there's so many guys that are below the 6K range that have so many question marks where I think we need to keep getting above 6K like we've been doing most of the weeks. Like you can play some of these guys I talked about, or you can find a little bit more money to go grab who? Maybe Tony Pollard if Zeke is out. Damian Pierce, who's in a great spot. Some of these 7K guys are clearly way better options that we've talked about and we're going to talk about. So point I'm getting at here, Holden, is I think some of these stacks are just going to be too priced out for you to even consider this week. That's the issue I'm having.
Okay. That would be game number 2. We got 4 more to go. Lions and Bears will be next. Reminder to hit the like button. Subscribe, bottom right hand.
We should mention, if you are going to spend up for some of these players at running back, Nick Chubb has to be in the conversation this week. I mean,
of course,
that game could easily shoot out a bit. You could see Browns are up 10 or 13-0 to kick the game off. And then what happens? Tua rallies the troops back to just get a victory as he always does. And that's maybe a skinny stack gets there of Tua paired with a Cooper, or not with a Cooper, or with a Waddle or a Tyreek Hill.
So you're not worried about game script because this is 2 games that I have that I think is a blow up, but you're telling me to take a running back on the team that I'm projecting to lose by double digits. And you think I'm fine with both those?
I just don't think.
Well, it wasn't double digits for
no,
the Dolphins,
if you think that, don't do it, spread. Yeah, that's not how Mangone's going.
I think this game's going to be more competitive.
Okay.
I don't think this is a game.
Would you take the 3.5 with the Browns?
No, I don't think I would die to take the 3.5, but I just, yeah, that's a good question. I think it just could be more competitive, but the problem with that is like, this team is so explosive where like you might be covering and then like late in the game, you just get screwed by like Tyreek Hill just being so explosive and Waddle. Like, I just think when I look at it from a DFS perspective, I want to have games that have the most outs for it to be like competitive. And I just think it could be very competitive overall. I think the Browns have a good enough offense to move the ball. And that's the key that I like here. So, and also I want to see what the ownership's going to be on this game. I don't think a lot of people are going to be dying to play this game. I just think this game could get a bit overlooked where like, I love the idea of a Tua, Waddle, and Cooper stack. That stack could be really, really nice. And I think could build out your lineup in a way that is like, kind of like enough where you can still get in those really good running backs. Now I need to like kind of run some stuff, right? It's too early in the week to be running things with like Saber Sim and everything, but I do think that's going to be a stack that is in play. And I think it's a better opportunity right now to be playing skinny stacks, right? Where you just play the quarterback with the receiver and the one run back. I don't think like the double stacking right now, especially if they're expensive options, is worth it at all. I think it's a problem. And I think people are trying to jam that in too much. And if you do it, I think sometimes doing it with the tight end could be interesting. Like one thing you could do, which I don't think is the worst idea on this slate, is you can go to Jacoby Brissett at 5-4 because we need to save salary somewhere. Where's another spot we can go? Like we can go to Amari Cooper. We'll plug him in, even though it's not saving too much salary. We'll put Waddle in there. And then if you do want to do the full-on stack, right? Like getting that second guy in there, who would you get on the Browns? You could put People-Jones, but I'm not normally dying to do that. What about an Njoku if he plays at 4-1, or if he doesn't play, you could plug in Harrison Bryant at 2-7. And now that leaves me with 5.560 on DraftKings. And that means I haven't even punted my defense. That's a really interesting type of build that I'd be looking at. And like I said, the construction matters so much right now in DFS because some of these stacks are just way too priced up. That's why an optimizer is important. You could talk yourself into hand building some really bad Mahomes stack that won't get the job done. But when you run the numbers, that Mahomes thing is not going to fit. I'm telling you, it's going to look like a disaster.
We're going to move on now to the Lions and the Bears. That will be our next game. And spread, we'll look at this obviously from the betting side first. Detroit, 3-point dogs on the road. Lions plus 130. This will be fun to talk to Mangone about Fields and DFS. 48.5 is this total. I mean, I know the Lions defense is horrific, but where are you sitting on this total, man? This seems high.
What is the total again, you said?
48.5.
I mean, the Lions defense sucks though, right?
I know but still, like the Lions, I don't know, spread. You tell me about this total. 48.5 is a lot.
I have it too high as well, Holden. I have this game going under, and I have the Bears covering. Now it's a slight edge. I only have them winning by 1 point. But you have to like what you're seeing from Justin Fields. And I keep referring, it's weird doing the old guys pod beforehand, Holden, because you know a lot of the stuff that I'm going to say, right?
Well, I probably wasn't listening, so I really don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you'll listen this time. I'd say about minus 1,000 on the no there. But Justin Fields, an interesting spot, and Travis is going to go over this. Is it great performance, right? He was on the winning lineup. What a performance by Fields. They bumped him up a little bit, but still not enough. He's at 6,500, right? And like I said, still below Kyler. Okay. So we have to make a decision here. Do we say, hey, we're not going to go right after a guy coming off a big performance, because that's something that we usually do, right? We don't go right back to the guy after they have their ceiling game. But as I mentioned last night, could we just be seeing a guy coming into his own? It feels like the Chicago Bears have stopped trying to make him Aaron Rodgers, and they're starting to let him play like Lamar Jackson, right? They're starting to design runs. This guy's one of the fastest guys in the National Football League, and they don't have great weapons here on the outside. Now they've added Chase Claypool, who's great because he has a nice cast radius, and that gives Fields some margin for error when making those throws. I think Claypool's going to do a good job. I know they call them 50-50 balls, but if you're a guy like Claypool, you should be coming down with more than less when you're in coverage, right? Darnell Mooney, of course, getting less attention now that Claypool's on the other side. It feels to me like, even though that we don't want to get these guys coming off their huge games, that this could just be the development of a quarterback who's finally being coached correctly. So I like the Bears to cover. I'm with you. The total's too high, and I'm probably going to put Fields in my lineup unless, Travis and the rest of the Run Pure team, when I'm watching on Sunday morning with, AP, JT, Eric, Hoop, Big T. And then of course you do it with JJ.
Who's Eric?
Crane.
Oh, I only know him as Crane.
Oh, okay. Regardless, I like the Bears and I like Fields. What do you think, Travis?
The total, by the way, is the team total for the Bears is 25.5, Mangone. Yeah, 25.5. Yeah, they're going over that.
I think they could. I mean, they went over that against the Cowboys. You don't think they could do it here? I mean, the one concern could be like, are the Lions not going to? Because like if the Bears get up, I could see them establishing it a little bit, right? Because we know the Lions are a team that running the ball on is easy to do. So that's the one thing that's been nice for Justin Fields. The pressure has been put on. Can the Lions put enough pressure offensively to make them move the ball? That was my concern last week with the Packers-Lions game. I talked about it on this show. Holden. I said, I don't like this game as much as other people think. Yes, it's going to be a game that is in the conversation this week. We're all going to talk about it. But the big concern is, if you're winning against the Lions, then what are you doing? You are running the ball, and you're going to keep running the ball, which maybe that makes us want to consider one of these running backs. The problem is David Montgomery at 6K. I don't trust him. And Khalil Herbert has looked great, but like the dude is not getting enough work. So that's one of the big problems. Like, and I think in MME, you could maybe, if the ownership is low enough, like you could take some stabs on a Khalil Herbert or a David Montgomery, but I really want to know what that ownership is going to be. I believe it'll be low, but that's something to look at as the week goes on. If Khalil Herbert, and that's the guy I would like if I had to pick, if he's going to be like 2% owned at 5.9, I'm going to take a couple stabs, I think. I don't think it's a bad idea in your like, MME process. I would put him in there a little bit. So I think he could have a pretty good game. I think Justin Fields ends up being the cash game quarterback at 6.5K. One thing to note about Justin Fields, last year his coach was Matt Nagy, right? I mean, that's like one thing we forget in the NFL a lot is, yes, you could be a talented player. And if you're just like super talented, you're going to thrive wherever you are. But some of these guys that like, they need like coaching to start out, or they need to be in a good situation. Like if I told you Aaron Rodgers was with Mike McCarthy for 10 years and was with Bill Belichick for 10 years, their careers would look a little bit different, right? Now, obviously Aaron Rodgers is also very talented, but coaching does matter. It does seem like this Bears team has kind of flipped what they're doing coaching wise. They're getting Justin Fields more involved and running a little bit more. Like I said, the one worry I have is, let's say they're up. Justin Fields gets like in the first half, get you like 16 DraftKings points. And by the time you get to like the end of the fourth quarter of that game, they're running the ball a lot and he only gets you to like 18 or 20 DK points. It is something to be concerned about, but I do think you can't ignore him. And the other thing that's nice about Justin Fields, not only does he have the rushing equity, but when I play Justin Fields, Holden, one, I don't feel like I have to double stack it. I can also feel like I don't have to spend that much at receiver because what can I do? I can grab Darnell Mooney, who has shown pretty decent games in his last 4 games. He's had 13.8, 18.3, 12, and 17.5 DK points, but that's not what matters the most. What matters is the targets. They are way up. It's 8, 5, 6, and 12. And then the first 4 weeks was 5, 6, 2, and I think 3. And some of those games, they were just losing and running the ball a ton. So Darnell Mooney in the conversation as a pretty good play at 5.5K. Chase Claypool, he had 6 targets last week. They traded for him for a reason. I think Chase Claypool could have a pretty big game. I think he can kind of bully some of these cornerbacks that they have on the outside. So I like that. And I also think Cole Kmet at 3.4K, yes, he had a big game finally, but this is a guy that we were playing last season, right? We were playing him in cash games and tournaments at times because he was cheap enough and he was involved. And maybe he's now getting back involved in the offense because maybe this offense has changed. So that's something to think about. And also, I don't think this Bears defense is that great where would I be surprised if the game started out and Jamal Williams houses one for 80 yards and maybe Justin Fields makes a mistake and it's like a pick and it turns into a 10-0 game to start it out? That wouldn't surprise me at all either. But the real key about this Bears stack that is really interesting is not only could this game shoot out, it could done as well, but the pricing on Fields, Mooney, Claypool, Kmet, it's just a really nice, easy stack. And also, like I talked about before, the if-then statements. Typically, we've been waiting for it. We've kind of been playing it a lot and it's been frustrating. But if the game shoots out, Amon-Ra St. Brown is involved, right? Yes, the DraftKings points haven't been there, but what has been there? Miami, 10 targets. Green Bay, 9 targets. The targets are there. He's 6.9K. I think it's worth getting at. So I think overall, this is a good spot. And if you want to just even get cheaper, 2 of these tight ends, James Mitchell and Zylstra, they both had touchdowns last week. They were targeted in the red zone. They're only 2.7K. And the thing is, at that price, and with it being really hard to get some of these running backs in, like we talked about, you're going to need to punt somewhere. So overall, you plug in a James Mitchell, who I even played last week and it worked out. You plug in Justin Fields. We put him in there, and then we plug in Darnell Mooney. And we don't have to put Claypool because you can do more of a skinny stack. That leaves me at almost $6,000 for 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a flex, and my defense. And once I put my defense, I'm going to be above 6K for everything. So it's a really nice stack that helps make things work. And at those prices, it doesn't feel like they have to do that much and gets me some like studs that I can get at like some low ownership to win me the slate.
So I'll say this, a lot of chatter in the chat talking about the running backs for the Bears and a lot of Herbert. So you still got Montgomery getting 14 to 17 touches a week. Herbert's going to get some work. You don't see him getting work in the passing game. And Justin Fields is the RB1. I mean, I think it's kind of cute looking at Herbert. We see a path to where he can get there, but Mangone, I just don't want to play the second or third best running back on the team because Justin Fields is the RB1.
The one thing I don't mind with Herbert is I think if you group him away from Justin Fields when you build out your lineups, you're saying the Bears are leading. And if they're leading, you could leverage Justin Fields a little bit, who could have some ownership, and just say they're up like 21-0. And if they're up like big and they just keep like pounding the rock, they're not in the fourth quarter. They're going to give it to Herbert, and they're not going to give it to David Montgomery. But the point I keep getting at with Herbert is if you decide to play him, I want him to be like 1 or 2% where I don't have to get that much exposure. If I'm playing 20 lineups, all I have to do is put him in one and I'm down 5%, right? All I got to do is put him on 2 and I'm 10%. I'm way overweight on that. And it's only on a couple teams. So it's not the end of the world to do that.
Okay. Very good. What do you got coming up here on the bet side, Spray? Can you plug the bet side a little bit?
Yeah, of course. If you're a member, please head on over and check out the 2 playbooks that we've done. It's a way, so we're not just giving picks. You get an idea of the process, or, maybe a game that we didn't pick. If you're going to live, you're going to be watching with your buddies at a bar and you want to just get a little action, you can see where we projected, even if we didn't bet it on the sheet. And then, of course, we've been having some great content. Tomorrow we'll be on at 2 p.m. Eastern for the NBA rundown, and that's with Kurt. Friday, double duty, talking touchdowns with Kurt once again at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then the NBA rundown with AP at 2 p.m. Eastern. And it just goes great because it rolls right into the Hardwood Show. And so NBA content all day on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed.
All right, let me just bring this up too. You may have gotten an email that the website's working now. And if you have any issues, you hit us up in Discord, Twitter, no matter where. Big T wrote a really heartfelt letter, and he's pissed off more than anybody. Because
did you actually read the letter? Now
did you read it, Holden?
I did.
Read the whole thing?
I did.
Okay, I read the whole thing too. I read it in 2 parts though. I got distracted and then read it.
I didn't. I just read it right through. I was like, that's really nice, Tony. Listen, I had 2 NBA slates that got completely fucked too. We all had a lot of trouble. It stunk. It's really bad. And I don't think anybody at RPS is looking at each other saying this was a good thing. This was horrible. And you know what? We still got the best content in the business.
Yeah, hold on. Can I give you another flip side of it? Like, yes, it was unfortunate, but like, I'm sure you did a little bit of research during the day. Like, if you think about like how much EV of a difference it probably wasn't. And like, you don't win on every slate, right? Maybe it was a slate you would have lost anyways, right? Like, it could have been that slate. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Let's face it though. There's a lot of people. I'm not gonna bullshit about it. There's a lot of people that are upset. You should be upset. I don't blame you. I was furious. I was really.
I agree. You should be upset. I want to clarify. You should definitely be upset. You should be annoyed.
And we get that. We're gonna make it up to you as much as we can. And I'm telling you right now, the content. I just noticed from the 2 days not having it. And by the way, my worst NFL week this year, not even close, was Sunday, and we had some problems then. That tells you how great the content is. So again, stick with us. I know a lot of you are frustrated. I know a lot of you are upset, and I understand that. And listen, if you haven't read that letter from Tony, go read it. He's put it up there, and it's on the website, and it was really heartfelt. Nobody's feeling it more than him. I get it. You're the customers. You want it to work, and I think we got it back to where it needs to be now. But again, all apologies. Nobody's happy about this on this side. All apologies. I know some of you'll come back to, and you should.
Also, Holden, if Tony's writing a letter, it means it's important, right? Like,
well, here's the other question.
Tony's writing letters.
Was it Mrs. T that wrote the letter and he signed off on it?
No,
I don't think so.
That was Tony.
I don't think so. That was totally Tony. Okay. So I'm telling you right now, and it needed to be addressed though, because it's not an elephant in the room. It was big. It was big. Trust us. The content's there. You come on back. You take care of it. You're not getting better. You're not getting better information in the whole industry. So thank you. And I apologize, even though I didn't have too much. I mean, I'm an employee, so I apologize too. I'm sorry. It sucked. It totally sucked. All right, let's get back to this. Speaking of sucking, the Green Bay Packers taking on the Dallas Cowboys.
Good segue.
They do suck. That's a
How about that for
You're
a transition?
pro, Holden. You are a pro.
So Listen, it's bad. It is a bad Green Bay team. We haven't seen this in just ages, have we? And this thing opened up, Cowboys -3 on the road. Now it got steamed up to -5. Cowboys coming off the bye. The Packers have lost 5 straight games. I mean, this is incredible how bad they are. Road favorites. Here we go. Here's a little system for you. Spread. Road favorites coming off a bye, covering at a 65% clip over the last decade. Do the Cowboys come off the bye, go into Green Bay, and beat Aaron Rodgers by 6 or more?
Yeah, and of course, I run the projections every week, but I'm not blind betting these picks. My projections like Green Bay here, but no way. There's no way watching this team that I can do that against the Cowboys team that has one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, I don't think you guys would argue with me if I said they're a top 5 defense, right? Mm-hmm. And definitely, one of the best pass rushes in the league. Rodgers is getting frustrated here, and we've seen him before. We've seen him check out. You don't think that Micah Parsons and the rest of this defensive line is going to take advantage of an opportunity to get a guy that, like, well, let's face it, even if they continue to lose this year, his legacy cemented, millions of dollars in the bank, right? He doesn't even have to hook up with 200-pound women or 400-pound women to pay his rent. Holden, he can go into the desert with nice thin witches. So I'm not necessarily sure that we're going to get a full effort from Rodgers if they fall behind. And I think the Dallas offense can do this. So even though if you look at the projections, I feel like we did something wrong. And Tyler and I were talking about that today because I like Dallas to cover here. I'm not going to back Green Bay. How many get right situations do they have? I don't think they're getting right at this point, right?
I watched a lot of that game spread.
I did too.
Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions in the end zone.
He had 3 red zone interceptions, if I remember
3
right.
red zone, 2 in the end zone.
Yeah, the Packers. If you say, okay, why are your projections saying this? Well, the Packers actually outgained the Lions in that game, right? The offense actually did look pretty good, but he wasn't able to get it done in the end zone. But this is kind of what happens with the young receivers. When you get down in that red zone, right, that's where everything tightens up. You're not playing against these big zones. You don't have the 2 high safeties way back on the field. Everybody's almost covered, and your margins are so much smaller. This is where the lack of chemistry with the receivers to make the cuts at the right time, have things going, it's just coming to light here. So, hey, call me square, but I'm taking the Cowboys here.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm adjusting my projections manually right now. I mean, this is just absolutely wrong.
Well, I'm just looking at it going, like, this is the season for the Packers, though. They don't win this.
Wasn't last week the season 2? You can't beat the Detroit Lions.
It was not. Yeah, but and you're right. It's looked horrible, but we've seen this in the NFL where these horrible teams just come out and all of a sudden pull something off. I actually lean toward where you're at, spread. I just don't have the confidence that this thing doesn't end up either a Green Bay win or a field goal or something stupid happening at some point in time. So I'm off the side in this game. Mangone from a DFS side.
Let me hear his pick on the side too, because I think it's an interesting game.
Okay.
What do you got? I mean, you're a Packers guy, right, Travis?
Yeah. I thought this team's hopes of winning a Super Bowl ended when they lost to the Niners in the playoffs last year. So that's my opinion on it, but I don't know. I don't like this team. So I want them to lose every game spread. I want them to trade Rodgers in the offseason. That's where my bias is. I want them to ship Rodgers to win a title somewhere else. I would love to see him win somewhere else. It'd be great. And then I would love to see the Packers just start the rebuild process. I don't want to sit around forever. Just like the Cardinals, they decided not to sit around with Josh Rosen. Yes, they got left with Kyler Murray but I mean, I just don't like it. So that's my Packers fan take for you. I don't want to give a side on it. Spread. Let
me real quick just go to the DFS side and then you take your time on this. All you need. Is there anybody on the Packers side you trust? If Aaron Jones is out, is Dylan in play? On the other side, is it CeeDee Lamb? Do we trust Dak? What do you want to do with the running game? Ezekiel Elliott's running around with a brace on. I kind of feel like he plays. Pollard's not in it. So how do you pick the plays from this game?
I'm hoping I'm hoping Zeke doesn't play, but if Zeke does play,
I think he does.
And Pollard is lower owned, I think he's worth it in tournaments because I think they still might ease Zeke in and not really beat him up too much. Also, Robert Tonyan on FanDuel is still, I think, $5K. but he's way too cheap. Whatever the price is. I forget what Title said on our first look show yesterday, but I remember hearing it and being like, that's way too cheap. So Robert Tonyan on FanDuel is going to be a cash game play that I think people are looking at.
Hold on a second. Did this really happen? Did Josh McDaniel really get fired? Or is this fake?
My friend just shared a tweet in my group chat, which means that's normally something. Oh, no, that's just a joke, he said. So
it was a joke? Okay.
Yeah, it's a good joke. It's have you seen in Home Alone where the two guys are walking, he steals money from the army, steals all like the pennies and stuff from the Salvation Army. He said it's Brett Favre stealing money.
You know what it is? You know what it is? There's an Adam Schefter with a blue check mark, and somebody stole it and then posted it up there. So now we got blue check marks on Twitter reporting bad news. This is not good. This is not good.
Did he buy the blue check mark already?
He must have. And he put a check next to it and he said he's Adam Schefter and it looks just like him. So that's why I was saying, did this happen? Not that it happened, but did it happen? Uh-oh. Yeah. This is not good for Twitter. All these news coming out.
Yeah, well, that should get, I think it's going to be fixed. Like someone like Adam Schefter is not going to have the same blue check mark as like Travis Mangone. Yeah. We're going to have different.
That's ridiculous. Not like the DeAndre Swift murderer thing, but not good.
Yes.
Not good.
But let's I mean, there's not much to talk about in this game. Like, I think the thing to talk about is I do think you can make an argument that, like, yes, the Packers, they looked bad last week, but they did move the ball on the Lions, right? Like, they moved the ball. And are a lot of those wonky things like last week going to continue to happen? Probably not. Where I guess the point I'm getting at with the Packers is I think the Packers can do enough to move the ball to have me interested in the Cowboys offense, interested in Pollard, interested in maybe a Dak with maybe CeeDee Lamb, maybe with Gallup too, or just with Dalton Schultz. I mean, Dalton Schultz has been an underrated tight end for a while. You could do a Dak, Dalton Schultz stack, and honestly, maybe just run it by itself and then fill out good plays around it just because of what it could do salary-wise for you. So I don't think it's the worst idea. Alan Lazard did look good last week, but not dying to get to Lazard here. I assume Romeo Doubs is out for a little while, so not really worried about him. Not paying 7-2 for Aaron Jones. I'll tell you that right now. So overall, I mainly like some guys on the Cowboys side, but that's really it, Holden.
We got a question about Toure. You messing with Toure? I mean, that's a 150 right there if you're rolling him out there, is all I can tell you.
I mean, the one thing to make the argument for is like he's 3K and what it could do for your full lineup could be intriguing.
Let's move on to the Vikings and the Bills. And we're talking about this game, not because Josh Allen might not play. That's what it is. We have to prepare for that right now. I personally think that's going to happen. I was one of the people spread that jumped on the Vikings at +6.5 the second. My guy, Dr. Chow, came out and said that he has a UCL. So not Tommy John surgery, but it's still the same muscle in his elbow, and it's pretty messed up. And even if he plays this week, he's going to be seriously debilitated. So with that being said, we've got the Vikings and the Bills. This total was 9.5 on the look ahead line. It was 7.5 until the Josh Allen news broke. And now it's sitting at 3.5. Holy moly. I saw it at 5 about an hour ago. It's down to 3 and a hook now. So that tells you everything you need to know that Case Keenum, at least the book thinks Case Keenum is going to start. Bills -3.5 at home. 44 is the total. Case Keenum could be in a revenge spot against the Vikings. Stephon Diggs leaving the Bill. A lot of storylines in this one, but how do you cap this one with the Josh Allen news still up in the air? Because what this is telling me going from 7.5 to 3.5 is that the books think Keenum's starting.
Yeah, and I have to agree. And then, of course, I have to throw all my numbers out. When was the last time we saw Case Keenum in an NFL game, right? So projections are worthless. We can look to the Vikings side. They've done pretty well this year. A lot of people think it's smoke and mirrors. I did at first, but I'm starting to buy in on this team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that's where it's going to come down to. Can the Vikings, right? The Bills defense should still be there. If the Vikings can move the ball against this Bills defense, I think I'd rather have Justin Jefferson, Cousins, Cook, and those guys in a shootout. But if the Bills can get stops against the Vikings, and so this part of the handicap hasn't changed, I think you still stick with Buffalo. I'm going to go, right? I mean, hey, you guys are rubbing off on me, Travis, right? DFS, offense, points. All that matters is throwing the ball, running the ball is for suckers. Let's go. I'm going to go ahead and take Justin Jefferson and the Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings to go ahead and cover the spread here. Even though I'm late to the party, but hey, we're on here. I got to make a pick at the current line, and that's what I'm going to take.
Okay, very good. How do we want to handle this from a DFS side, Mangone? Because if Josh Allen plays, I'm not going to play the passing attack. Maybe he runs a lot. I personally, again, don't think he plays. We're sitting here early in the week, though, on Wednesday. What does it change from Allen to Keenum, and how are we handling the Minnesota side?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if Allen plays, like, even hurt, like, at 8-6, it's tough to get to, but I don't know. Josh Allen, like, if you said Josh Allen was fine and there was no issues here, he'd probably be, like, between, like, 10 and 20% on this slate, right? And he might just go to 1%, right? If he plays and he's hurt. And like, that is something to think about. I'm not saying you play him, but it's something just to think about. The problem is, how do you pair it up, right? You could pair it with Gabe Davis at 6'4", which helps make it work a little bit easier than some of those other stacks that we've talked about. And then pair it with Dawson Knox at 3'3". So that's something to think about a little bit there. I do think this Viking side is interesting. Problem when you play Kirk Cousins is like, well, if I play Jefferson and I play Hawkinson, like, or one of them, it's just pricey because, like, I use the tight end spot to save my salary, it seems like, but Hawkinson's role is legit. So, like, I kind of want to play him, but I don't want to pay 5.3 for him. So, man.
Travis, did you watch? It was a bunch of dump offs, though.
But it's 9 targets spread. Like, that's a lot.
They're all 3 to 4 yard targets, though.
That's fine. Kirk Cousins is a 3 to 4 yard target guy anyways. I mean, I don't know. He's not that good. I'm not a huge Kirk Cousins guy. Well, I used to be, but like now.
Travis, if you ship this weekend, will you take a picture with your shirt off and all the chains, just like
that? Yeah, 1,000%. If I ship, how much money?
5 figures or more. 5 figures or more.
5 figures this week. Yes, you'll get that. Okay. If I do 6 figure spread this season in NFL, I'll do it too. How's that sound?
What a guy! I love it. This is great, Holden.
I mean, I have the chain from Halloween, right? I mean, I did. Yeah. I don't know if you saw did you didn't see the college football show I did you?
No, I didn't. I missed it.
Oh, I was all tatted up. I had all these fake tattoos on. It was very funny. So
I'll go back and check that out.
I did not see that.
Yeah, I knew you didn't see it, Holden. You're the fake college football tout at RPS, right? You said you were on all the shows before, but really weren't.
Huh?
Never mind. It was going back to our conversation with Tony, but we're getting to that hour mark where you're checking out. So let's.
Yeah, I was about to congratulate him, Travis. Yeah. You
55 minutes. We got 5 more minutes before I'm all done, guys.
Yeah.
We got 5 more minutes.
Point I'm getting at is, sure, this game looks great. like it looks great to play Kirk Cousins. It looks great to play Justin Jefferson. But build the lineup, and then you're gonna be like, damn, my team isn't as great as I was hoping it was. I just think some of these options are way too priced out. That's just my only issue. I kind of like Justin Jefferson as a one-off. If I can get a little bit of a cheaper stack and then grab him as a one-off, that's what I kind of like. I think that could be really interesting. And Case Keenum will be pretty much unplayable on DraftKings at 5K. There's so many other options that you can just play that are close enough in that range that are better. I don't know what his FanDuel price is, but I doubt I want to play Case Keenum on FanDuel.
All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Trevor, David, this is not great content, but I just want to say hi to everybody because I love these guys. Bill, extra sauce. I've never seen you before. Chef Frank, never seen you before, but great to have everybody here. Obviously, Daryl's in here. The Jerker's in here. If I didn't say your name, it's my bad. Rants.
Also shout out to Spread. You'll love this. It's a Case Keenum revenge game this week. So there you go. Wanted to throw that in for my boy Spread.
Hey, did I not say that in the beginning? I mean, who's checking out now?
Who else isn't listening?
Now who's checking out? Oh, he busted himself.
That's fair. That's fair. I know Spread loves a good random revenge game, so I missed throwing that in there, and I was like, I have to throw it in. But
Spread, I did something. Every time I tell JJ I do this, he goes, "You're an idiot." But I'm 7-2, plus about 4.25 units. Atlanta, Carolina. I do a same game parlay on a total that I think is going to be low. And I just make sure in this game under 24.5 team totals, both sides, minus 105. So to bypass the total of 42, I just took both team totals. I don't see either team getting to this. We've got Carolina. So we got that tropical storm coming in. Talked to my guy, actually hit him up on Twitter, the Charlotte weatherman. He says 20, 30 mile an hour winds, heavy rains, and or 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, 30 mile an hour gusts, heavy rain. And it's Thursday night. So we already don't have points in a game. Now you throw weather in there. Who else do we have? We got PJ Walker. We got Marcus Mariota, who just keep betting his under yards, pass attempts, and completions too. Everything to me, spread everything. I'm looking at this saying, how the hell are they going to score points? Now it's the NFL and it absolutely could happen. But the total here is 42.5. Panthers +3 at home. Talk to me here. Falcons, Panthers.
Man, Holden, as much as I'd like to disagree with you, right? You know, and get a little conflict going. This primetime unders have been the gift that keeps on giving here in the NFL. Tyler and I gave out the under on Monday night, and hey, it gave us a little scare towards the end, but it wasn't enough. And of course, that game went under once again. And I'm with you. You know, I've said it before, and I don't want to be a broken record on the show, but the 3 days to prepare is not enough. For a National Football League team, the guys are still beat up, and the offensive game plans are just, they're not as that they would be. They're not as good as they would be if they had the full week to prepare. And I think it's easier for the defenses to run a kind of slim down scheme, right? Like I think it's easier for defenses to just say, hey, we're only going to run 4 or 5 packages, where I think it really hurts the offensive side of the football. So I'm completely with you here. And if you have to make me take a side, I will take the Falcons, but I don't love it. Why would I sweat the Falcons when I can just bet the under and continue to cash?
Mangone, it's just going to be we're talking here about a same game showdown, I should say. And defenses have to be in the mix for captain. I hate it, but come on. How are they not?
They're not.
Cordero Patterson.
They're not in the mix for me, Holden. You can play your captain.
No defense captain this week.
No, I don't play defense in the captain spot.
Okay.
Ever, so I will lose if the defense wins.
Then how do you handle this?
You check out the content tomorrow, because we'll be more up to date then. But I'll just say this: the one thing I typically like if we think it's going to be a lower scoring game. We saw our guy Trevor the other day. He jumped on the show on Tuesday to kind of break it all down with us on the First Look show and basically talk about his winning lineup. But we need to be looking at game scripts, right? And like, what's the right script? And one thing that's always kind of encouraging about like some of these like just crappy teams is like sometimes you get some really good pricing. Actually, the more I look at it, I just pulled up that pricing, man. So all of like the guys that you'd want to play, like you think like they're like really priced up. And the more that I look at that, what that kind of has me thinking, if you take all the players below 4K, I'm just going to kind of list through the guys that feel playable below 4K, which is below the kickers. If you're holding, you can play the Panthers defense, but they're not playable for me. I'm not playing defenses.
I'd rather play the Falcons defense, which is awful because PJ Walker is a mess.
They're more expensive. They're 5-2 compared to
good. Now no one's going to play them, and Tony's going to make fun of me probably.
Actually, I think the Panthers D is actually a little more playable.
I'll
give you that.
Okay,
but not in the captain spot. Not in the captain spot.
Okay.
But if you look at some of these other options, like Shi Smith, like I don't think he's that good of a play at 3.6. Like Chenault's there. Tommy Tremble at 3.2 is okay, but like I'm not dying to play Tommy Tremble. Ian Thomas at 2K, like. I think the thing I'm doing this week is if you're below the Panthers defense, I'm Xing you from my entire pool. I think all these guys suck down here. And because of that, when I run the optimizer, what it's likely going to do, Holden, it is going to push more of a mid-tier captain. Now, who could that be? It's not going to push Cordell Patterson, Mariota. It's good because if it wants to get those guys in the flex, what it needs to do is it needs to find a mid-tier captain to play. So maybe it's Drake London at 8.2. That's in the flex spot. But if you go to captain, I'll read off those prices. So maybe it's Drake London at the 12.3. Maybe it's Foreman at 11.7. Maybe it's Kyle Pitts at 10.5. I just think this like mid-range captain build of like not being in the tier 1, but being more in that tier 2 or even the tier 3 with someone like a Zacchaeus, maybe taking a chance on him. Maybe it's a kicker week, man. Maybe we're playing some of these guys. I know there could be some weather, so that's something to watch for, but point I'm getting at here is those guys that are below the Panthers defense, 3,800 and below, go through and actually look at them and be like, can you look me in the straight face and say, I actually think this guy's actually in play? There are not many that are in play. It's pretty brutal.
It is pretty brutal. I do want to let everybody know that we appreciate you watching this show. Hit the like button. Tell your mom about it. If you don't have a mom, tell your dad. If you don't have a dad, tell somebody else. Let's get the word out. Run Pure Sports, kicking ass here. This is going to be a good week in DFS. I'm looking forward to it. Check out all our Showdown content coming up. Monday night was a good one, right? For Showdown, we had a whole bunch of members kill it then. We'll have some basketball shows every day this week as well, every week. And that's about it. A lot of content. Check out the bet side. Spreads over there with JJ and Tyler and the rest of the crew. Mangone, obviously, on the DFS side. And I'll catch you guys up to lock in NBA, plus our Sunday content. We start at 8:45 Eastern. Mangone, if I forget anyone, just let me know. It's JT, AP, and Tambo first show. Then you got, so that'd be 8:45, right? 10:30 would be, or 10 o'clock would be Crane, Hoop, and Tony for the big show, for the Wood. Yeah. I actually had Morning Wood. And then up to lock from 11:30 to 1. Yeah, right. Especially at this age. 11:30 to 1. It's me and JSU and JJ from the bet side.
So I don't know who Tony is, but I know who Anthony is. Anthony will be on that show.
Anthony Wayne.
Yeah, I call him Anthony. I know others call him Anthony Wayne, but I call him Anthony.
I just call him the Tone Dog or Tony.
It's true.
We can't call him by his first name. I mean, it's just, he doesn't give a shit. Anyways, real quick, I did have a conversation with someone yesterday, man, going, I don't want to let you know who it was. You did poop in Big T's master bathroom, correct?
Master? No,
is that you? Where did you go?
No, what I think someone had said, this is so long ago, right? I think maybe I went in like the middle floor once or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, you know what? Like that was a mistake. I took the L, right. And then I haven't ever since. And I make sure not to. And then not to go to someone's master and drop a deuce, no matter how bad it is. I went not in the master. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but right. I think it was just one of those things. Like sometimes I'm like a little aloof, right? And I'm not thinking. And I just like went in there and like, just, it was brutal. But no, I never did it in the master. Okay. I did on the main floor. And you know what? It was a mistake. Shouldn't have done it. Learn from my mistakes, Holden. Haven't since. People have tried to pin it on me when it was someone else the last time. And I was like, no, I just went down there. And the reason why someone knows it is someone was literally just down there and saw me walk out of the bathroom. So can't pin that on me, Holden.
Okay. The information that I gave was wrong. I'll have to clean that up. I'm going to dig to find out if that's the truth, though.
No, I just said the first time I did do it, but then I said I took the L and made the mistake. And then after that, someone tried to pin it on me again. And I said, no, I learned from my mistake. I have learned. I'm not going to ever do that again.
Mangone, good to see you. Spread, good to see you. Simon, get us out of here.